How are we doing today? We're live at the Young and Rich University, at the Young and Rich Studio. My name is Frank Corbin. I'm your host for today. Today we're going to be discussing immigration and the immigration system and immigration program. You know, immigration is very important to Canada. And for all of us who are on the journey of building wealth, we understand this, we know this, and we pay close attention to the immigration numbers. Why? We want people from all over the world to come to this country with their level of skill set, knowledge, talent, resources, and money and build this wonderful country called Canada. We're building a wonderful first world country, and that's important to me. Where I grow my kids, where I grow my family in a safe, peaceful, striving environment. And one of the things that Canada promised that you can come from all over the world. And if you have a dream or you have a vision to change the direction of your family mindset or your family situation, you can come to this country and do very well. And that's why I like it so much. Um, today, a couple of days ago, we celebrated Canada Day, and me, myself, and a bunch of my friends were out on the boat, and we're having a wonderful time. And we invite a lot of others who join us, and we enjoyed just a wonderful day on the water in the lake, and it was great. So one of the person that I've been paying attention closely to is Laura Desir. She's on the line with us today, and she is a dedicated licensed immigration practitioner, helping folks get themselves settled into this country. Before you come here, she can help you. While you're here, she can help you. And even after you get here, she can help you, whether it's business visa or student visa or permanent residency. So, Laura, how are you doing today?
Hi, Frank. I'm doing awesome. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing excellent.
Thank you
So,
very much for having me here.
you're
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
I was telling some of my friends, I said, I have an immigration practitioner coming to the show this week, and everyone was excited because,
Okay,
as you know, immigration is a very interesting and exciting topic
it
to this
is.
country. Yeah.
Yes, it
So,
definitely excites me.
excellent. So, what pushed you or steer you into immigration law?
So, first of all, thank you everybody for being here, watching, and supporting Mr. Frank on Young and Rich. This is an amazing show, and I feel privileged to be here. So, my name is Lara Desir, and what inspired me actually, two things. The first thing that inspired me to go into immigration was the fact that years ago, I wouldn't say how many years because then you're going to try to guess my age. Years ago, when I tried to sponsor my family, there was one member I could not add, and it broke our hearts. So that was a huge hit. And I thought, you know what, something has to be done about this system. Uh, Even if I can't change it on my own, but at least I can contribute in a way. Another
Right.
thing that happened is a client, well, she was a pro bono client at the time because I was not accepting fees for anything. I used to help people do applications, not charge, because at the time I was just doing it. Everybody was just like, oh, Lara can do it. So they would just
Wow.
bring it to me and I would just
Hmm.
get it done. My friends and friends of friends, etc.
Yeah.
And I noticed that I loved doing that. And the results were always positive at the time. So I was like, you know what? This is definitely something that I should look into because one, I really need to help people who have to leave like families behind. It's not okay. And secondly, if I'm doing something and I'm really good at it and I'm enjoying doing it, I may as well get paid
Hmm.
for it, right?
Right. Of course. Hmm.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So,
So you get involved in
yeah.
immigration practitioner as a immigration practitioner or immigration law. And what are some of the challenges you had at the beginning in this journey?
In the beginning, there were a few challenges because one, you have to get licensed, and that's a very long process and very daunting. There were times I had to cry myself to sleep for,
Wow.
um, yeah, I mean, there's a really difficult exam I had to go through. So the first three, I was not successful, but I was not going to give up. I didn't care. I didn't care
Right.
how many times I had to do it. but
Hmm.
I got it done. I'm not really an exam person, okay? I can know a lot, but at the same time, when you put me in an exam environment, it's a little bit difficult, okay? But
Right.
I got through. And
Excellent.
that was the first major challenge. But getting into the business, the biggest challenge was that everybody's emotions was weighing down on me. So, like, people, sometimes they're here, maybe they're in precarious situations and their heart is heavy and it weighs down on you, and you're carrying all of that into your family environment. So that's a
Right.
huge challenge that I had to figure out how to get over.
So there's people on online, mostly the internet, from all over the
Hmm.
world,
Yeah,
and some people are based on current circumstances. Some people want to leave Canada.
yeah,
Some people want to go somewhere else who haven't been here yet. And you
yeah.
probably see some of this stuff, some clips people pushing online.
That's
And I'm
true.
gonna ask you because you were part of the migration system, immigration system. Is Canada still a wonderful place to come and live and grow your family?
Personally, I love Canada. I always have, and it's unfortunate that there are some policies right now that is actually affecting the economy. So it's definitely not a perfect economy. If I say that, I would be lying. Okay.
Right.
However, when I compare it to some countries that I visited, I'd still choose Canada for living there permanently. You know,
Right.
but we do have. There's a lot of work to be done, and a lot of I don't know. I think the government has to step in and change certain things for sure because it's getting really tough out there for the average Joe, right?
Yes. Hmm.
Um, However, if you're somebody who is most likely either self employed or you're in a great career, it may not affect you as much as some people who don't have a plan.
So, what is one of the policy that you find in the immigration system that you think the government could make some adjustment to? Anything specific?
Yes. Okay. So if you look at the US, I know we're not in the US, but still, if you look
Right.
at the US, people can sponsor their family member. Like if you have a mom, dad, child, regardless of the child's age, you can sponsor that person. There
Right.
needs to be a change here because it makes zero sense that we can sponsor our grandparents that are literally you can sponsor your grandparent who's almost of age to die, right? Or they need to like use our healthcare system. I don't have
Right.
any issue with anybody using the healthcare system. However, you can't sponsor your grown-up child who's over 21. As long as they hit 22, you can't sponsor that child. Or you can't
Right.
sponsor your brother or your sister unless you're a lonely Canadian, which means you have no other living relative, no other relative here. Right?
Right.
It really saddens me and it is ridiculous, to say the least. People should be able to sponsor their child regardless of the age. People should be able to sponsor their brother or sister because family is family and it's very hurtful when you have to end up leaving a family member behind. You know, that causes a lot of trauma. So
Right.
Canada needs to address that.
Okay, so okay, that's good. So I didn't know that you couldn't sponsor a grown up child over the age of 21.
No.
So that means that child is left to fight for him or
Yeah.
herself in a third world country. More important, some parents leave their kids below the age of 21 to come and try to make life here. And it can take them some time to get themselves stabilized here. And all of a sudden, your son or daughter meets age 21, and boom, that's it. It's cut
Yeah.
off.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's important. Is there any other programs that you think that could need some attention to massage and get folks more into this country?
So for now, that's the main issue I have is,
Yeah.
family, being able to sponsor family. That should be a very important thing, right? In order for you to be here, and stress free, mental health. They've been talking about mental health for
Right.
the last, especially since 2020. They've been talking about mental health. It's really a big deal. So you can't bring people here and expect them to be mentally okay, and they had to leave their 25-year-old child behind. It's still their
Right.
child,
Right.
right?
To affect them emotionally. Excellent. That's good
Mm-hmm.
to know.
Exactly.
Um, what? So, what are some of the mistakes? Like, I'm pretty sure you've seen this all the time. What some of the mistakes people are making when
Mhm.
approaching the immigration system or immigration of a post-immigration application process? Go ahead.
Okay, so one of the first mistakes I see people making, and genuinely there are people like that. They come here, right, on a visitor's visa for whatever reason, and some of them either don't realize that they only have 6 months to stay,
Hmm.
and they overstay, right?
Yeah.
It happens, and there should be a more transparent system where maybe when the person gets to the airport, there's a huge tag saying you only have 6 months, okay?
Right. Hmm.
And of course, you can extend your stay so you can stay longer and you can keep extending as much as you like. However, there should be some level of transparency so people know, okay, I only have 6 months. Some people call me confused and they're like, but I don't have a stamp in my passport. Or my ETA says I have 2 years. Can't I just stay on my 2 year ETA? No, you can't stay on your 2 year ETA because now, if you end up in a situation and you're caught by border officials, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble.
Excellent. That's good to know. Listen to that, folks. We're talking to Laura Desir here, immigration practitioner in Toronto, Canada. And it's important you guys understand is if you come to Canada on a visitor's visa, and she's very clear with it. You come to Canada visitor's visa and you come into the airport, whether they stamp your passport or not, if you have a 10-year, a 2-year visa, you're only allowed to stay 6 months. You have to return back home to your country and you can come again. If you overstay one day past 6 months, what's the consequences, Laura?
Okay, so the consequences, Frank. If you overstay one day, there is a system in place. I mean, I don't want to be encouraging you. That's why I didn't bring it up.
Okay,
But
okay.
there is
So,
a
so
90-day grace period, and you would have to pay way more money, right, for you to reinstate your status. And it's not a guarantee, obviously.
right,
Nothing is a guarantee with the Canadian immigration system. However, there is a 90-day grace period, and you can still apply for to reinstate your status. And that goes for people who are on study permits and work permits as well. Be aware of that last day you need to stay. So if your study permit is for 2 years or 3 years and you did not apply for some type of extension, you need to leave and then you can
right.
come back in.
Now, if I'm here visiting family, friends, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
having a wonderful time, and I do
Yeah.
not want to leave
Okay.
within that 6 months, what can I do to keep my visa current? What can I do to prevent that?
Get an immediate extension. So when you apply online, you get what's called implied status. Okay.
Right,
Some people know it as maintained status. So with implied or maintained status, as long as you sent in an application before the 6 months mark, you're legally here still. So it doesn't matter if immigration takes even 6 months to get back to you, you're still okay legally.
right. Hmm.
You get a
Excellent.
document to prove that. Okay?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So hear that, folks. Is ways to prevent if you don't want to go back before the 6 months around the 6 months time frame. You apply for an extension to keep your visa status current. So you don't
Yeah.
want to make yourself illegal in the country. You only have 6 months. If you're either gonna extend it or leave it. Laura said the other option, if you overstay, is a possibility, but it's not guaranteed. So you do not want to risk that. If you understand the value of this country and how great you can be or become when you're in this country, you do not want to mess around the immigration programs or system. You want to make sure you do it right. There's a lot of systems in place, a lot of information. Laura and many others out here to help you guys get yourself situated properly in this country, and that's so important. What's some of the resources or support system you see here in Canada for new immigrants?
So There are some support systems, especially for new refugees. There's a lot of support for new refugees. In terms of people who come here on study permits, usually the schools have resources that they can connect them with, okay, to help them
Mhm.
maybe get a new doctor, maybe open a new bank account, etc. So there's also facilities that that specialize in helping new immigrants. So there are some community places out there that specialize in helping new immigrants.
Excellent, excellent. And I was talking to one of my mortgage brokers a few weeks ago, and he's talking about there's a new immigrant mortgage program, which I think
Okay.
is so important. Yeah. So, folks, if you're paying attention, if you come to this country within the first year or two, and you have a certain amount of deposit, there's there's a mortgage just for new immigrants. So you have to be brand new to the country in the first 12 to 24 months, and there's an actual mortgage you can actually apply for and get it. And more important, you know the thing, Laura, you don't have to have credit. You do not have to have credit to qualify for the mortgage. You need a good job, the down payment, and there's a new immigrant mortgage. So pay attention to that, folks. What are some of your personal insights in the sense that what do you see changing in the immigration system, or what do you see changing in the people that's coming here? What are some of the things you've seen that you think people should pay attention to or be aware of?
Well, immigration is ever changing. There's always changes being made. So I constantly have to read up on policies, etc., before I complete an application. Um, in terms of people coming here, right now they have put how would I say it? I mean, they're accepting less people for study permits. Okay, so
Okay, okay, that's
yeah,
good.
in previously any amount of people could apply for study permits, but now they're trying to crack down on the study situation because many people who come here cannot afford to study here. So yeah, that's being looked
So,
into.
so they come here, they cannot afford to study. What they end up doing? What the profile we seen happening?
Some people end up dropping out of school, and it's a waste of the money that they've paid already because they cannot pay the following semester. Well,
And
the issue at hand is if you can't afford it, then don't do it, right? Because
right,
some people come and they say, okay, I have, let's say, for instance, they say, I have 10,000, right? But really, they only had 2,000 because they borrowed 8,000 from their uncle. Like, it's literally not our fault that you said you had 10,000 and you didn't,
right.
right?
Hmm.
So when they come here, they face certain challenges. And now, you know, I mean, obviously, there are certain other factors contributing to them having a difficult time. But the main thing is that you need to be able to afford it to apply and to come here and to be okay.
And if they come here and let's say they pay for the first year or first semester, they can't afford it anymore. Is there financial aid or student loan program available to them?
So, okay, so that's not my thing. It's immigration getting them here. When
Right.
it comes to the whole loan part, they would have to. I mean, they shouldn't even have to be looking for a loan because they said they can afford it, right? So,
Oh, so the
yeah,
program is you come in here based on your ability to afford university or college.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
You're telling the government, Here's my profile. I can afford to study here, so
Hmm.
please let me in." So, if
Right.
you falsify that, then that's on you, unfortunately.
Right. Right. Excellent. Okay. Okay. Excellent. So, all right. So, give me I'm looking for two things. I want a terrible story you've experienced, and I want a good story you've experienced doing immigration law.
My God.
And you don't have to call the client's name.
I would never do that. I'm not allowed. And even if I was allowed, I wouldn't do that. That's not
Right.
okay. Okay.
When
So
I know they got to be
I
terrible.
think
I hear stories from
I
other folks. I know they got to be terrible
there,
stories out
there's
there.
some terrible stories out there. There are stories that would make you even cry. But even for the sake of protecting my client's identity, because if I say the story, what if somebody's able to recognize that? I don't want to do
Okay.
that. I'm not
Okay.
okay
So,
with
so give me a situation that people because I hear a lot of stories out here, and I hear it from two sides. I hear it from the client side. I hear it from the practitioner
Okay.
side, not doing a good job. Okay, and
Okay.
I hear a lot of terrible stories. So even
Yeah.
though Canada is a wonderful place and the immigration program is good to get people in this country, people make mistakes and people deliberately do things to other people, whether the practitioner is not doing things properly or the client is not doing things the right way. So there got to be a lot of stuff happening out there. I want some terrible stories
So
and good ones as
okay.
well.
So I'm just gonna give you general
Yeah,
stories.
that's
Okay.
fine.
Things that happen to people. Okay.
Right.
Um, one very common thing I realize, I really need to put it out there, especially for our young black men.
Hmm.
Please, please, and our young black women as well. Okay. I'm sure it happens in other cultures, but I've seen it happen too many times. If you're in a situation where you come here, make sure you always keep your status active, even though somebody promises to sponsor you. Many times you end up in a situation where somebody promises to sponsor you because, oh, they love you, right? They love you, so they're gonna marry you. Yay! Guess what? Life happens. And
Yeah.
sometimes that person, maybe they're a narcissist or maybe they're not even genuine. They just wanted somebody to tie down. Okay,
Right.
it's possible.
Hmm.
I see many situations where people get involved with people who promise to sponsor them and they either pull out of the sponsorship or they start playing games. Sometimes I have to ask people directly. Anytime somebody comes to me and they say it's a sponsorship, I always want to speak to both parties
Right.
because I literally have to interview them in front of each other. And I ask the person, what is your relationship like? Do you guys fight a lot? Like, I'm not saying that because I'm nosy or anything like that, but I
Right.
need to know that this is gonna work, right?
Yes.
You're not just using that person. There are some people who will actually want you to be here undocumented. So they will pretend they will give you the papers and then when it yeah, and they pull out. So I
Wow.
see it
Right.
happening way too many times and it's very upsetting. You know, it ruins families. So that's one story that happens way too many times. And it's not just about a particular client. It's
Yeah.
many of
It's
us have clients that are in that situation right now. So be wary of that. Don't be too quick to go get married to somebody, you know. And besides, there's also common law option. So you don't need to go tie yourself down. I mean, I
right.
know it sounds bad. It sounds bad, but at the same time, sometimes they marry you and they have bad intentions. So if you have the option for common law, do common law instead. Okay, and keep your
Understood.
status good even throughout the application. Keep your temporary resident status good. That way, if that person changes their mind, it's okay. You have temporary resident status anyways. You can come, you can leave, you can come back, or you could stay. It doesn't matter, right?
Right.
Stay for a little bit until you extend your stay again. So that's my take on the whole marriage thing. Okay,
Right.
that's my take.
Excellent. And what are some of the great success stories you've experienced or you have dealt with your clients, and what some of the stuff you have done that people really that you're really proud of as an immigration practitioner?
So I literally there I get goosebumps every time I think about it because I know that there is divine intervention. I always know that a greater power is dealing with this on my behalf or on my client's behalf. Okay.
Right.
Because I had this lady come to me and she came with somebody that she was dating for a long time, right? And it's unfortunate because it's crazy. You could be in a relationship and be so blind. This person did not even make an attempt to sponsor her, right? But she was still with him. And she had gone through many lawyers, many consultants, and unfortunately it didn't work out. So she spent like tens of thousands of dollars and none of the programs worked out. So she was out of status and she desperately needed help. So what I did, I looked at her background and I matched her background. At the time, there was an amazing pilot program.
Hmm.
Okay, so it was for people like PSWs, etc. And she matched the category exactly. So you need to do extra research to find out which category that person um, is eligible for. Okay,
Right.
so we did that. He was supposed to apply, and the gentleman says to her in front of me, he says, "Oh, how do you know she's not like all those other people who took all your money and it's not going to work out?"
Right.
So I said, "Number one, here are the facts. Here is her situation, and here are the facts. It matches exactly. It is right here on the government website. I'm not saying
Mhm.
it from my mouth. I'm not just giving you word of mouth. I'm giving you facts from the
Right.
government website." And I said, number two, yes, she has tried many things in the past, right? But it's up to her ultimately if she still wants to try again. I'm not making any promises. I'm not the government, but I know I'm going to fight for her. So whether it goes through or not, I'm going to fight for her because I know that this was the criteria they put online and they said, this is
That's
what
right.
you
Yep.
need. So she is eligible. So she would get, I would make sure that I would go after it as long as she has everything that is required. So within 6 months of getting all her documents and everything, she got her landed. She got her PR
Wow.
within
Wow.
six
That's
months.
very
And
good.
that day, I literally ran outside my house, run down the street screaming, and people were thinking, "Oh, she's a crazy lady."
That's
That was like amazing. Imagine you're here for dozens of years, and
yes. Yes.
like things
Mhm.
you have to be hiding from the authorities, and all of a sudden now
Exactly.
you're able to
You got to
get that
prove.
sorted.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
That's a very good story, Lara. Very good
Thank
story.
you.
And these are the kind of things we want to
She
hear.
said she must have sent me like 20 clients after that.
Yeah, wow, there you go. You do a good job. You get a lot of referrals. So here's the thing, folks. It's not only hiring an immigration practitioner that you know that you like or someone send you to. It's important that you interview him or her to understand what they can do. In this situation, Laura had the skill set to do the research and match up our client profile to the immigration program and get her approved within less than a year or so. Laura know the time frame. And that's important. It's the same thing to everything else. You have to do your research. And if you don't have the time or the skills to do the research, you get yourself a professional who understand the industry, who understand the rules and regulation inside out to get you approved. Now, what do you say to some of the folks that says it's easy? I can go online, read it myself, and do my own application. What do you say about those folks, Laura?
I I think everybody has a right to do what they want to do. Some things sometimes you can do it, right? You can actually go online, do your research, get it done. But if you miss one thing,
Right,
it's on you, right? But then
right,
if you hire somebody and they miss something, then it's on them. So it's up to you what you feel comfortable with. Most of the time, people, if they specialize in something, it's very it's very unlikely that they're gonna miss something, right?
right.
Unless they just don't care, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Which is rare. But
Mhm.
it's up to you. If you want to go and do your pathway yourself and you want to do your research, it's a lot of work, right? We
Yeah,
get paid for doing a lot of work. So if you
right.
feel like you have the time, you have the energy, you have the resources, and you could do it yourself, absolutely. I'm not going to stop anybody from doing what they need to do on their own. However, I highly recommend you get somebody because sometimes you think, oh, I'm saving a couple bucks, a couple $1,000 or
Mhm.
whatever, right? But if you don't do it properly and you miss something key, right? I want to try to think of an example. Okay, here's
Mhm.
an example, right?
Yep.
So somebody is applying for a postgraduate work permit. They think I'm guaranteed that postgraduate work permit, but there was a semester where they only did part time. Okay, they did not realize that if you did a semester part time, it automatically disqualifies you, right? But if you had
Wow.
hired somebody, they would tell you exactly,
What to do? You won't
that
waste your
what
time
to
and money.
do
Yeah.
in that situation. Okay?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Because I've heard many times people says, "Well, I applied
Mm-hmm.
for my landed or visa status, and I'm not getting any response from immigration." And I asked the question, "Who's the professional working on your file?" He says, "Oh, I did it myself." I said, "No, no, no, don't do it yourself. Hire." I'm a big fan of hiring professional people who are more expertise than me in their subject feel and have them do the work for me. Because again, as you says, I don't want to make any mistake on my application. And again, if you value this country and the benefits you can get from this country, just living here, you can grow your wonderful family and enjoy your material wealth in a safe environment. You want to make sure it's done properly. That's very good. Very good. Any future outlooks on the immigration laws and policy that you think that might be coming soon? Stuff that people are not talking about this yet that you think might be coming soon that people should pay attention to, Laura?
Okay, so before I go into that, I just want to clarify something.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
you said that sometimes they say it's taking a long time.
Right.
Sometimes it's not. I don't know if you heard of the scandal last year where they discovered that immigration had assigned certain files to certain agents, right? But sometimes these people had already quit or they were fired, and the file was still just sitting there. So
Wow.
it sometimes there are times, especially when they have backlogs because they're aiming for five six
Hmm.
hundred thousand per year, etc. I'm not sure of the exact numbers, but
Right.
you get what I
Mhm.
mean, right?
Yeah, of course.
Sometimes there are backlogs that causes certain files to go a bit slower, right? um, so in terms of that, it could like just not be their fault. Okay, now future programs, I'm really hopeful that IRCC brings out a program for people who are already here, already contributing to society, and unfortunately, they sometimes they need to hide or they're being taken advantage of because they don't have their documents for whatever reason. Maybe you never know. Sometimes life happens and people end up in a situation where, for example, the one like before where they did
Hmm.
not know that they're not allowed to stay for the 2 years, right?
That's correct.
So let's say somebody's in a situation where they're here and then they end up needing to work for their family or whatever. Maybe they ended up having a child. They did not foresee that they would have ended up having a child, etc. Right?
Hmm.
We need a program that's gonna help people who are already here and they're undocumented. And
So,
there's been a lot of talk about it,
mhm.
and apparently the government is looking into it, but they've been looking into it way too long. They need to make a decision and have that program. So it's similar to amnesty. I don't know if you heard of amnesty in the
I
US,
heard I'm in the
right?
US, yeah, previous
But that
years, yeah.
is very, very important because the government is missing out on a lot of money. If these people are working for cash,
Right.
how is the government benefiting?
Yeah,
It's
because they're not
very
paying taxes,
stupid.
right?
Excuse my
Yes.
French.
Mhm.
It's not
Yeah, they're
very
not paying any
smart,
taxes.
right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Like, find a way to give them their documents so they could be taxed because whether you do it or not, they're still gonna be here. They're still gonna be working,
Right.
right?
Excellent. So she's saying, folks, um, what Laura like to see folks who's been here working hard, contributing to the society, zero criminal record, and they're good, upstanding citizen. It's just that circumstances hit them, overstated time, maybe get involved in a relationship with someone, it didn't work out. The person pulled the sponsorship application, and that person's still here working. She like to see the Canadian government do something similar to an amnesty program to get those folks legal status in Canada, and
Yeah,
that's so important. That's
very.
very, very important.
Hmm.
Excellent, excellent, Laura. So, folks who like what you're saying, who like what you're doing, want to get access to you concerning either filing for themselves, their family members, with a work permit, business permit, how do you get access to you, Laura?
So I love WhatsApp. It's apps invented. Okay, so maybe you can find a way to post my number. It's 1-647-367-9367. Again, if you have a pen, it's 1-647-367-9367. So you can reach out to me on WhatsApp and I can have maybe a text chat, a quick call. So hopefully, if you're somebody I can help, then we can move forward with a consultation and then whatever pathway you are eligible for.
Excellent. And do you have a free consultation process or is it a paid consultation?
So
People do think
I
people
have
do
a so I have a pre-assessment, so a free
Gotcha.
and so I can do that either online through email or through my site, or I can verbally do it over the phone for like up to 10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes pre-assessment to
Yeah.
see your current status and what program she could potentially match you up into, and from that the process begins. Now, from the beginning to start doing business with you or registering with you, what's the time frame the average person we're looking at before they get their full permanently resident, if they're looking for that, or
This
visa?
permanent resident, so there are many different permanent resident pathways. Some of them are faster than others. I've noticed a trend with express entry. I noticed once you get the ITA, which is the invitation to apply to stay in Canada. Once you have the ITA, usually it's about 6 months or less. That's
Right.
with the express entry. With humanitarian and compassionate ground, it's supposed to take around 2 years, but sometimes I have clients that get it in a year. Yay!
Nice.
It depends on the agent that's working on the file at the time. So the
The
time.
agent on in the immigration side.
Yes, so the
Okay.
time frame is definitely out of my hands,
Right.
unfortunately. That was something I can control, but unfortunately I can't control that.
Right. Right. And just a quick question: what exactly is the express entry? I hear a lot of folks talking about it all the time. What's
Express,
the express entry?
it's just a system that the government put in place, and it assesses people's skills, it assesses sort of their background, etc. And there's different categories that you can fit into. So there's the federal skilled worker, there's the
Mhm.
federal skilled trades, and there's the Canadian experience class. Okay, so
Right.
if you're in Canada and you've been working for a couple years, or you went to school and you're working, then most likely you're gonna be part of the Canadian experience class, and possibly as well the federal skilled trades or federal skilled worker. So sometimes you qualify for only one, or you can end up qualifying for multiple sectors of that express entry. Express entry does not mean that you get your papers fast.
After 6 weeks or less, no, it's not the papers fast; it's the process.
um,
So, go ahead.
but once you're in the pool, usually in the past, as long as you have like maybe 460, 470, you would be able to get the ITA. But now they're focusing on certain skills more
Mhm.
than others. So if you have 460, if you're just in like a regular admin job or something like that, it's very unlikely that you're gonna get calls. You would need at least normally around 520 points to get through with the program. The younger you are, the better. Okay, Mr. Young and Rich?
That's right. So start the process early.
Yes. So if you're in your 20s, amazing. You have all the points for age. Okay.
Mhm.
So they also grade you on education and English skills, etc. So yeah.
And
That's
that's a skill. That's a skill labor program.
so skill labor, that's so federal skill trades is one of
Mhm.
the sectors. It's just one of
Right.
them.
Okay. So there's a lot of options if you want to come to this country and start a family, or come to this country and start a career, or come to the country, educate yourself, or do business.
Mhm.
And so the programs here is to make you get people easy access into Canada. Do we see a lot of people utilizing it, or we see they're more hesitant from the international market?
It depends on the situation, because some people overseas, let's say you're somewhere, maybe there's like a crisis,
Hmm.
maybe there's like gang issues, or like your life is at risk.
Hmm.
People are open to pretty much whatever they need to do to get out of that situation, right?
Hmm.
Um, However, if they're just looking to make a change, it depends on the person too, your
Right.
personality. If you're somebody that's like, okay, I see this, I love this, I just want to do it, then yeah, they can end up just doing it. But
Excellent.
it also depends on the person.
Any final words before we go, Laura, for these folks?
So, final words: keep your status good. Don't just,
Keep your status current.
yeah,
Do not let your
yes,
status expire.
do not let it expire. Okay. Be aware of ghost consultants. There's a lot of them out there, unfortunately. So, ghost consultant, is different from registered consultant. So a ghost consultant is somebody that practicing and they don't have authority to practice, right?
Wow.
There's no, yeah. So there's no accountability when you use a ghost consultant. If you want to do that, it's up to you. But at the end of the day, if that person does something wrong, they would get away scot free, right? Or that
Right.
person could. I have stories about that, but I can't go into it right now.
Yeah.
But there are people who could end up paying thousands of dollars to a ghost consultant and nothing happens. And nothing's going to happen to the ghost consultant because guess what? They're either not in Canada or even if they are, maybe there's no laws, right?
So, is there a verification system? Let's say I'm looking for an immigration consultant. I
There
find
is.
someone online. How do I verify the person is not a ghost consultant?
So what you do, you go into Google, you type find an immigration consultant, okay? And you go
Mhm.
to the CICC website and you can enter a keyword. So if you know the person's last name, for instance, all you do is enter the last name. Don't if the more information you enter, the harder it is to find that person. So if you just say, for instance, you go find an immigration consultant and you type in DESIR, then you're gonna
Yeah.
find, right? So you need to do your own research, see if that person is active, see if that person has any bans on them, because there's a lot of negative talk out there about immigration consultants or about lawyers, etc. But if you just take the extra step and go do your own research on that
Right.
person, right? Then you can decide, okay, you know what, I will take a chance on that person. Don't just go with just about anybody. Make sure they
Right.
have an online presence, okay? Make
Excellent.
sure,
Excellent.
yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Laura. Well, thank you much for having being on the show today. It was great exchanging information with you, and I think folks who's watching this program be very impressed. If you're looking for an immigration consultant or immigration practitioner, contact Laura. Laura, give your number, please.
So my name is Lara Desir, for those who don't know. I know
Okay.
some people have some issues pronouncing it.
Lara. So Lara Desir.
Ah,
I was going to ask, is it
yeah,
Desire, Desir, or Lara
but
Desire? Which one is
there's
it?
no you, it's Lara Desir. Okay, so anywho, um,
Mhm.
you can contact me at 1-647-367-9367. Or you can also find me on the CIC website, or you can find me at desirimmigration.com. Now, there's two. There's a Desire Immigration. I don't even know that company, so be careful.
Desir.
There's,
DESIR. Don't put an
yeah,
E at the end of it.
there's no E at the end. So if you find somebody with an E at the end, that's a different company.
So it's Desire, not Desire.
Yes,
One more thing before we go. I was reading your profile here. You own your own company.
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, that's good. I like when
Thank,
people own their own company. Be your own boss. You control your own time schedule and you control your own money.
that's right. That's
Do you
important.
have? Do
Maybe,
do you have? Go ahead.
maybe that's why I'm not complaining about Canada.
Exactly, because you control your destiny. Do you have other immigration practitioners working with you?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Sometimes there are. So I have a group of consultants. So I put together a group, and we've grown to 300 and something. Okay, and so
Whoa.
people reach out to me, and
Mhm.
I co-counsel for them. Right. So
Right.
sometimes I co-counseling o- on a need basis.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
But
yeah.
I I have my company, and it's separate from anybody else because it's just better that way.
It's a lot easier. I have a friend have his own company, and he said, Frank, I do not want employees because I don't want to start babysitting grown adults.
No, that's different from having employees. It's different
Yes,
because I can't do everything on my own, right? Obviously,
right.
I need to sometimes get people to do certain things for me, right?
Yes.
It's different from having employees.
Yes. So, and also employees or subcontractors also lighten up the load. I hire a lot of subcontractors to get stuff done for me as well.
Subcontract.
Yeah,
Exactly.
subcontract. They
Subcontract.
sub it out, and that takes up the load. Also, they're still responsible for their own company, doing their own work as well.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Lara Desir.
Thank you.
Your success. Remain young and rich and help a lot of people come to this country so they can become young and rich and build wealth and grow their family in a peace, loving, wonderful environment, almost crime free and family oriented. And that's why we love Canada. To your success. See you then.
Thank you, Frank.
There you go, folks. We just shot another one. Lara Desir, immigration practitioner, helping folks in Canada stabilize their family, stabilize their financial situation. You contact Laura if you need any help. If your family need any help, you refer. She's credible. She's doing her thing. Happy Canada Day. I know we passed it a couple days ago. For folks who love this country and who enjoy this country, I love it. I enjoy it. I'm growing my kids here. I'm building wealth here. And I help a lot of others build wealth as well. My name is Frank Corbin from the Young Rich University. Shazam, shazam to your success. See you then.